بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last class we stopped at the social effects of zakat, and if we were to talk about this freely, this would maybe take a whole book, because the wisdoms of Allah's commands are endless. We can come up with so many benefits if only humanity had eyes to see. They would have accepted Islam. Islam is the religion that obligates in an individual's wealth a certain percentage with conditions, once fulfilled, that he or she must give and share with the poor. And this percentage is not once a year. It is throughout your life, as long as you fulfill the conditions, as long as you have a specific threshold that you possess. And this is not taxation, as some people may claim. Taxation is imposed by the ruler for the benefit of the ruler or his government or the army, while zakat is given primarily and generally for the benefit of the community. As stated by the Prophet ﷺ to Mu'adh ibn Jabal when he sent him to Yemen, he said, "Call these people to Islam and inform them that Allah Azza wa Jal has mandated a sadaqah, a charity, taken from their wealthy and given back to the poor. So it is for the betterment of the whole community, of the whole society." And there are many benefits, but the book mentions few, and we will just skim through them. First of all, it talks about the blessing in one's money after giving zakat. And the blessing is something that non-Muslims cannot understand. And even if they understand the meaning, do not believe in the essence of it. Muslims, on the other hand, believe that blessing comes only from Allah Azza wa Jal. So they believe that the Quran is a blessing. Specific surahs of the Quran are blessing, such as Al-Baqarah and Al-Imran. They believe that Mecca and Medina, as far as destinations and locations, are a blessing. They believe Ramadan is a blessing. The night of Qadr is a blessing, as in terms of times. Friday is a weekly blessing. It's the best day that the sun has ever risen on. If you look at the Kaaba, at Arafat, at Muzdalifah, these are all places of blessings. The food we eat is a blessing that the Prophet tells us, do not, alayhi salatu, do not eat from the middle, rather eat from the edges, because the blessings of Allah descends on the middle. And there are so many things in life that we seek Allah's blessings through. Therefore, when we tell Muslims, give zakat, give 2.5% of what you possess for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, they give it happily, with their own consent. And the best part of it is that the vast majority of wealth is hidden. What is meant by hidden, Sheikh? There is visible wealth, such as livestock, such as grains that are coming from earth, such as things displayed for commercial use or commercial transactions, selling and buying. All of these things are visible. Here, it is the responsibility in a Muslim country that the Muslim ruler sends his agents to calculate and collect the zakat and bring it back to the Muslim's treasury, Baytul Mal. But the vast majority of Muslims' wealth is hidden. And this refers to gold, silver, and cash. These are all hidden in our possession. So our bank accounts do not fall under this category. We have to give it ourselves to the poor and the needy. Women's jewelry, as we will talk about this in a while, inshallah, also has to be given by the individual to the poor directly and not through the government and not through the Muslim ruler. So it's not taxation. It is when you feel that you're giving something to the poor directly from your hand to his or her hand. Secondly, when you give zakat, you tend to penetrate this veil of greed, this need of being miser. So you succeed in overcoming your evil desires by giving, because a lot of the people in general like to possess rather than to give. And if you look into people's houses, if you look at their attics or at their storage rooms, you will find things that have been lying there for tens of years. Okay, why don't you throw it? Do you need it? So, no, I don't need it. Why don't you throw it? I don't know, maybe one day I'll need it. And you'll find that 80% of the things that we possess in our homes are disposable. We don't need it, and we'll never need it, and we'll never use it. But people don't give away. So it helps to cure us from the greed that we have. Also, zakat shows the poor and the needy that we care for them, that we love them, that they're not neglected or forgotten. And this is why we go out of our way looking for them, the real poor and needy, and sharing with them some of what we possess willingly, because Allah ordered us to do this. This spreads an atmosphere of love and care. So after being envious of the rich, the poor now are making dua for the rich who gave them their zakat money, and they're asking Allah to bless their wealth and health. So they reciprocate with the rich by such dua and such warm feelings. And of course, when you give zakat, you're not doing it for any other reason than to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, which makes you a person expressing his gratitude to Allah through action. So you're actually asking Allah Azza wa Jal for more of his favors and blessings through expressing your gratitude by giving zakat willingly and happily. And of course, it is an article of Iman that you fulfill this pillar of Islam. Among other benefits. The following section talks about zakat due on loans. And this is, in so many cases, an issue that people are confused about. So people come to me and say, Sheikh, I have borrowed $200,000 for my real estate. So I'm paying the loan back in installments. But the person who lent me wants $200,000. This is the balance. And in my bank account, I have $40,000. So do I have to pay zakat or not? People would immediately jump to the conclusion and say, no, because the balance is $160,000 in the minus. You have to pay that. So there is no zakat on you. And this is not true. As a person who borrowed money, what counts is what I have in my possession for a lunar year, whether it's mine or not. What do you mean, Sheikh? See, when I took a loan, it's not the actual money with the numbers on it, the serial number that is my loan. The loan is something that I am held accountable to pay, whether from this lot or from another lot or from my bank account or from my offshore account. It doesn't matter. The amount registered is a debt on myself, not on that specific thing that I borrowed. And this is different when I borrow your car, for example. So I borrowed your car, I drove it for a week. I can't give you something in replacement and say, okay, I took from you this Mazda Miata, and now I'm giving you this Golf GTI instead. I have no right in doing this. I have to return exactly what I took from you. So is it the value that I have borrowed from you, or is it the estimated amount or cost? In $200,000, it is the amount and the cost. In the issue of the car, it is the car itself that I borrowed. So I have to return that. So this means that when I have a loan, but I still have assets or money at hand, I have to give zakat on that. And it's an issue of dispute, but the most authentic opinion is what you had heard. The Prophet ﷺ, whenever he sent his agents to collect zakat, they would come to an individual and they would count the heads of sheep, the heads of cows, the heads of camels, and they would see the amount of harvest he managed to do for his dates or for his raisins or for his corn or barley or wheat, and they would calculate zakat, take it and leave. They would never ask, okay, are these sheep yours or you borrowed them? Which means that when you borrow something, you give the zakat on it while it's in your hand. So if, for example, I borrowed $200,000 from my friend Abdullah and I put it in my bank account, and for a whole lunar year I did not use it, or I used some of it, but it's in my bank account, it's in my possession. If it were to be destroyed by fire or a thief steals it, I'm still liable to pay it back to my friend Abdullah. I can't say, Wallahi, I apologize, it was burnt to the ground. So it's none of my business. You borrowed it, you return it. Therefore, if it stays with me for a whole lunar year, I have to give zakat on that. Because it's under my possession, my control, I can do with it whatever I want. So going back to the old example, Abdullah gave me $200,000 as a loan, and I spent it to build my house. But I still have 40,000 cash in my bank account. I must give zakat on the 40,000 that I have kept in my bank account. I must give zakat for that. Now let us reverse and look into the zakat of the loan from the view of the person lending. So Abdullah comes to me and says, Sheikh, I gave $200,000 as a loan to Brother Asim to build a house. Now, do I have to pay zakat or not? Again, this is an issue of dispute. Some say we have to look at the borrower. So we ask Brother Abdullah, the person you had lent the money, if you ask him next year, meaning after one lunar year of completing it in your possession, and you say, listen, it is time to pay zakat, can you give me my $100,000 back, please? I don't know if it's 100 or 200. This is one of the advantages of writing down your loans, which is very important. And lots of people don't do it, which is wrong. Even if your brother borrows from you, have two witnesses, or write a piece of paper. You forget, I forget. And the biggest example now, I forgot what Abdullah had given me. Was it 100,000, 200,000? Most likely it's 200,000. Anyhow, and writing down a loan is mentioned in the longest ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, the longest ayah in the Quran. Allah tells us, when you deal in lending and borrowing, write it down. Not only that, the Prophet told us ﷺ, that there are three people whom Allah does not answer their dua. One of them is a person who had lent another a sum of money, but he did not write it down, nor had two witnesses to witness the transaction. It is his fault. If he makes dua against that particular person who's not returning the money, Allah will not answer his dua. So going back to Abdullah, the 200,000 you gave to Sheikh Asim. If you ask Sheikh Asim, when it's time for zakat, can you please give me my 200,000 back? If Sheikh Asim says, okay, here it is, then you have to give zakat on time. But if the Sheikh says, Wallahi, I don't have money, I apologize, but I'll try my level best to collect it as soon as possible, so he's unable. Or the Sheikh says, what 200,000? You don't have witnesses. You don't have a paper. I'm not going to give you anything. Sue me if you can. So he's not unable, he's not willing. In these two scenarios, scholars say that those who are unable to return or to pay off the loan, that is the one who had lent the money, they are exempted from giving zakat until they receive the loan back, or some of it. So Abdullah, if the sheikh is unable to return the money this year, or the following year, or the 10 years to come, and he apologizes because he's broke, he doesn't have the money, or the sheikh is evil and he's not willing to return the money because you don't have any proof against him, in both cases you don't pay zakat until you receive your money back or some of it. So let us assume that 5 years later the sheikh comes to Abdullah and says, listen, out of the $200,000, or what I could gather is this $20,000, so please bear with me. So he gives him $20,000. Now he returned $20,000 to his possession. He gives 2.5% of this $20,000 for zakat. The 5 years he pays only once zakat because now he has the money in hand. So I hope this clarifies things a bit. Now we have zakat on gold and silver. We spoke about that. I don't know why they are writing it again, but we said before that the 5 categories of wealth, the first one is gold and silver, and the threshold for gold is $85, 85 grams, and the threshold of silver is 595 grams of silver. And this is taken from the hadith of 20 dinars or 200 dirhams, etc. We won't go to details for this as it's a little bit confusing. Just bear in mind, if you have 85 grams of gold or more, you should give 2.5% as zakat over the whole thing you possess. So 85 grams of gold, 2.5%. What about if I have 100 grams of gold? Then you give 2.5 grams of gold of the 100 grams. What about if you have a kilogram? You give 25 grams of the kilogram. And the silver is the same thing. What is it due? What is due on gold and silver? We've went through that. Conditions for zakat obligation to be applied. The conditions for this ritual, for this form of worship, does not include what other forms of worship require. So here we have only 2 conditions. One, ownership of the threshold of zakat. So you must have it with you and you're capable of dealing with it as you wish. But if it is an amount of money that you're supposed to inherit from your father, but it is withheld with the government for the past 10 years, there's no zakat on it. Although I have 10 millions that the government's supposed to release every time they're stalling their paperwork, their this and that, people need bribes, there's no zakat on it. Likewise, a lot of the evil mother-in-law women have. They come, they go to their daughter-in-law, they take all the gold and cash they possess without their permission and sometimes even without their knowledge, and they conceal it, they hide it. And they don't give it to the daughter-in-law except in small pieces when they have a wedding or so. Why is that? She says maybe she's going to run with it. So it's none of your business. It's not your husband's gold. It's not your gold. It's the daughter-in-law's gold. You in Islam are considered to be a thief. And you are a thief. You do not fear Allah Azza wa Jal. I doubt if you know Allah to begin with. How dare you take someone else's possession? She's my daughter-in-law. So what? This doesn't give you the right to take her possession. She's not obliged to obey you or to listen to you or to do anything for you. Daughter-in-law, my foot. with all due respect. So she has no right at all in doing this. So the daughter-in-law comes and, Sheikh, my mother-in-law took my gold, even the one that my father gave to me, my relatives had given to me. I said, Wallahi, if I were in your shoes, I would go to the police and file an official complaint, because this is evil. But you don't want to destroy your marriage, unfortunately. Therefore, be patient. She says, okay, do I have to pay zakat? The answer is no. You don't have to pay the zakat, and she, that is your mother-in-law, will pay heavily on the day of judgment in hellfire for not giving the zakat money, because she's the one who made that impossible. So this is number one, worship of the threshold of zakat, that you have to have this, otherwise there's no zakat. If you have 85 grams of gold, there's no zakat. If you have 494 grams of silver, there's no zakat. You have to possess the threshold, and you have to have full authority to do with it whatever you wish. Number two, the passing of 1 lunar year, and that is of course with gold and silver, because we know that this is different when it comes to grains and dates, etc., grown from the ground. This is only due when harvesting is due. Now, if you notice that these are the two only conditions which answers the question of a person who happens to have orphans under his guardianship. So Brother Abdullah comes and says, Sheikh, I forgot another question. You know the $200,000 I gave to Sheikh Asim? Forget about that. Jazakallah khair. Not forget the loan, forget about this question. The loan is still pending. Well, it was a good try. No, my question is, my brother died last year, and he left a girl and a boy, and they're 4 and 7 years of age. And he left a lot of money for them. So my question is, do I have to give zakat or not? And I say, it's an issue of dispute among scholars. The most authentic opinion is that you have to give zakat. But Sheikh, they're orphans and they are below the age of puberty, so the form of worship of zakat should not apply. He said, yes, salat does not apply, hijab does not apply, hajj does not apply, fasting does not apply, because they have not reached the age of puberty yet. But zakat applies because it is Allah's right for the poor in the wealth that you have in your possession or in your guardianship. And this is why Uthman, the third caliph, may Allah be pleased with him, used to advise people such as you, Abdullah, to invest orphans' wealth. And he says, do not leave them for charity to be consumed by zakat. When you only have $100,000 and it takes like 5-6 years to the child to grow up and take or assume control over his wealth, or maybe more, and every year you give 2.5%, $2,500, $2,500. In 10 years, this is $25,000. It's a lot of money. So Uthman and many scholars, may Allah be pleased with him, say that you have to invest. So look at an Islamic company that has shares in the stock market and buy shares that are Islamic and let them do the business, invest, give the dividends, and at the end of the day, the prices are higher than the day you have bought them, so you've invested it wisely and in a halal place. Likewise, if a person is the guardian of someone who's insane, he's an adult, but he's insane. He is not allowed to handle his wealth. A grown-up man who's in his 40s, but he's insane. We cannot give him money to buy things. We have to have a guardian supervising his wealth and his well-being, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. The following section is about combining gold and silver. So, Sheikh, I have 70 grams of gold and 1 kilogram or 2 kilograms of silver. So silver I have to give zakat on. Now, if I combine the value of both gold and silver, I would have a lot of money. So do I have to give zakat on the 70 grams of gold? The answer is no. You don't combine two different species, two different items in order to pay zakat. For example, what is the threshold of camels? Raise your hand if you know. You don't. It's 5 camels. What is the threshold of cows? 30, and you have to give a tabi'. 40, you have to give a musinna. What is the threshold of sheep? It's 40 sheep. You have to give 1 sheep. So if I have, for example, 4 camels and 29 cows and 39 sheep, do I combine all of these 3 and give zakat of 1 sheep maybe to consolidate? The answer is no. You cannot mix these types together. Each is required to be handled alone. So I hope this clarifies this. Zakat on jewelry. Zakat on jewelry is usually referring to gold and silver. So definitely there is no zakat on pearls, on emeralds, on rubies, on diamonds, on platinum, because we know that the 5 categories of wealth, these precious metals or stones are not mentioned in them. So no matter how expensive your gold necklace is or how cheap, what counts is the weight of the gold in it. So if a woman comes and says, Sheikh, I have a diamond necklace that is $100,000 worth, and I say, any relations to Abdullah? No, Abdullah was 200,000. 100,000 is reoccurring nowadays. Nevertheless, so she says, I have this necklace of diamonds. Do I have to pay zakat? Most people said, of course, $100,000, you crazy? You have to give zakat on that. It's too expensive. But Islamically, if you ask any scholar, he would say, how much gold is there in this necklace? Or do you have other gold and silver jewelry? She said, no, this is the only thing that I've inherited from my mother. And I cherish it and I love it. I don't have any other jewelry. The sheikh says, okay, how much gold is in it? She said, I don't know, I think maybe 5 grams or 10 grams. The sheikh says, there is no zakat in it. What? It's $100,000 worth. Yeah, there's no zakat in it. And another girl comes and says, Sheikh, I have these bangles and they are the only thing that I have. Do I have to pay zakat? I said, it's gold? She says, yes. How much does it weigh? She said, 100 grams. I said, yes, you have to pay zakat. Though it may cost 100 grams times, let's say, $50 a gram, $5,000. Peanuts compared to $100,000 necklace. Yet this has zakat, that doesn't have the zakat. So why, Sheikh? Well, this is not logical. No, it is logical. Diamonds are precious stones that have no value. Sometimes you buy them for 100,000 when you want to sell them, maybe if you get 5,000, that's good. Because the prices of diamonds plunge. While gold and silver have always been the backbone of economy since the beginning of time. And due to the reason that this is what Allah has ordered us to give zakat on. We cannot come and say, okay, Sheikh, I have a very expensive mobile phone. Do I have to give zakat? I have a very expensive car, a Bugatti Veyron or Chiron. Do I have to give zakat on that? Again, it's not from the category that we have mentioned regarding wealth. So when it comes to women's jewelry, the most authentic opinion is that if it contains gold or silver and it reaches the threshold, the nisab, and you possess it for a whole year, lunar year, you have to give zakat. Whether you wear them or you keep them in the safe for years, it doesn't matter. Whether you lend them to other women to wear them or you don't, the same ruling applies, because schools of thought differ. Some say that if you wear them, you don't have to give zakat. Like your normal clothes, like your car that you ride, you don't give zakat on that because you use them on daily basis. But this is not authentic. The ahadith where the Prophet ﷺ asked a woman who came with her girl with 2 bangles in her hand, and he said, do you give the charity, the zakat of this? When the woman said no, and the Prophet said that they will be bangles or bracelets of hell because people don't give zakat on it, she took them out and gave them as charity. This indicates that the girl was wearing it, yet still it is zakatable. And this is the opinion of Sheikh bin Baz and Ibn Uthaymeen and a great deal of scholars of the Salaf. But it is indeed an issue of dispute. And this issue of dispute may become helpful when a woman comes and says, Sheikh, for the past 10 years, I haven't been given zakat. I didn't know it was obligatory. Now to say that, okay, you have to give the whole 10 years now over something that is disputed upon would be a bit unfair for that woman, losing half of what she possesses maybe, or a quarter of. In this case, we may say that, okay, if you did not know it was obligatory, we give you the benefit of the doubt, start from this year. So I hope this makes some sense. Now, the rest I think is on the same topic, so you go through it on your spare time and tell me and ask me if you have any problem with that. The questions of last session, 12th of March. The first one is from Jainaba. She says, or he says, or they say, is it right to recite Surah Yasin for the dead? Scholars of Hadith said that all ahadith related to Surah Yasin are not authentic. And one of the strongest of them, yet still not authentic, is read Yasin over the dead, between brackets, the dying. And this is what some scholars say, that yeah, it is recommended when someone is dying to read Yasin to him, because there is this glad tiding of the righteous man who came to warn his people so that they believe the messengers that were sent to them. And the story says that in the Quran it says that Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun, I wish that my people know how Allah has forgiven my sins, which may give the idea that they have killed him and that he was happy because he was martyred. So this glad tidings of this man being honorable and being blessed by Allah Azza wa Jal after death would make the dying person feel happy, feel a little bit comfortable. But the hadith is not authentic. And definitely it is not at all accepted for people to read Surah Yasin and give it the reward to the deceased, or they read it at the graveyard, in the graveyard, or they read it on the 7th or the day of his death, or the 14th day, or 1 year after, and do khiwani, etc. All of these are innovated and not part of Islam. Zinat says, my son who's 20 years and stays in India, in Chennai, which is very hot, he had exams and missed 6 Ramadan days. So can I feed poor for his missed fast? It seems, Zinat, that your son simply was lazy, and because it was too hot, he skipped fasting Ramadan. So if this is the case, if he did not fast these 6 days from the very beginning of the day, so it was night time before Adhan of Fajr, he had the intention not to fast. In this case, he cannot make up these days, and you cannot feed any poor person for these days, and Allah will never accept it from him, even if he offered a gazillion days in return, because he had committed a major sin. And Allah has prescribed fasting of Ramadan on specific days. So if you skip that intentionally, Allah will not accept this. But if he fasted like 5 hours, 3 hours in the beginning, and then felt dehydrated or felt sick, or shaitan fooled him and made him eat and drink, in this case he's obliged to make up for these missed days and ask Allah for forgiveness and repent to him. But again, there is no feeding for that. Marzia says, my wife had 2 miscarriages. We decided that before trying next time, we will do a umrah. Now what's happened? Due to coronavirus outbreak, we do not know when we will be able to perform umrah. Should we start trying for a baby, or our intention complete is to do the umrah first? No, there's no obligation. It's up to your preference. As long as you did not make a vow to Allah by saying that we will not go for such an attempt before making a umrah, there's no problem in changing your mind and going for a third trial, because no one knows when things will go back to normal. We are hopeful that by the end of, let's say, March, mid-April, that things would be fixed, and inshallah the ban of traveling, of umrah, of hajj, of visiting the holy shrines would be uplifted. But this is all in Allah's knowledge and ilmul ghaib. So hope for the best. Go for the baby, and when you are able, do your umrah bi'idhnillah. Mum Ramlat says, my co-wife is not talking with me. Even if I greet her, she won't answer most times. I tried to make peace with her, but to no avail. Please, what should I do? Well, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, it is not permissible for 2 who are quarreling, who are fighting, to not speak to one another for over 3 days. So yes, I have a problem with you. I fought with you. We fought over something. I felt bad about it. Islam gives me 3 days to cool down and vent. On the 4th day, if I meet you and I don't greet you, or if you greet me and I don't return the greeting back, I am sinful and I'm committing a sin, and Allah would not look at my good deeds record books every Thursday due to that. And the Prophet said, alayhi salam, that the best of the two is the one who initiates salam. So as long as you see her and you say loudly that everyone is able to hear, Assalamu alaikum, and she doesn't reply to you, you should be happy. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appoint an angel that would say to you, Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Allah is happy with you for initiating, and Allah is angry with her because of her not replying and disregarding your salat, your salam. So what should I do? Nothing. Live normally, ignore her. Don't go out of your way seeking her pleasure. Maybe she has issues. Either way, you did what Allah has told you to do, and that is giving salam. Every time you see her or when you enter a room, you say Assalamu alaikum and move on. If she doesn't reply, go and do whatever you want to do as if she does not exist in that room. Maheen says, I recite Surah Al-Sajda every night, mostly sitting on my bed. I perform Sajdat al-Tilawa while sitting on the bed. Someone told me that Sajda while sitting on earth. My question is it permissible to perform Sajda on my bed? The answer is yes, providing that the bed itself is as firm as the ground. But if the mattress itself is soft, and when you put your forehead and you prostrate, your limbs go deep down inside, then this is not legitimate or permissible. In addition to the fact that the prostration is not mandatory, so if you read the Sajda surah and you skip it, there's nothing wrong in that at all. Afia says, Ya Sheikh, if my sister asks me to send the link of a bridal hairstyle so that they can hairdo the bride by looking at it, if there is a mixed gathering, will I be sinful for sending the link? The answer is yes. Any contribution, any collaboration in an evil act will secure a share for you in the sin. Allah says in the beginning of Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 6, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate on righteousness and goodness, and do not cooperate on evil and vice, anything that is sinful. So the answer is yes, you should not direct them or help them in any way. Fatima says, can you please explain the procedure of paying zakat? What should we do after calculating the amount we should pay? Should we give our whole zakat to the zakat administration, or can we search the beneficiaries near us and give them directly? If yes, should we give our whole zakat of 1 year to one person, or can we share it to many persons? Fatima, I've answered all of these in the previous lessons, so it would not be very wise to go through them again. You have to go and watch the lessons and then ask kindly your questions. So you calculate your zakat is $1,000. After 1 year, you have to give it today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, if there's a reason for postponing it. And if you have 10 poor people and you give each one of them $100, this is 1,000. Maybe 8 of them would not benefit from it because it doesn't pay their electricity bill, it doesn't pay the rent, it doesn't pay for medicine, it pays part of it. So it's best to secure one poor person's needs rather than dividing it on 10 or 100 poor person without securing any of an individual's needs. And another question for Fatima: if one fainted out of tiredness of fasting, would her fast go void, or should she continue fasting? No, if she wakes up, her fasting is still intact unless she drinks or eats. But if she's too tired and medically she should break her fast to regain her strength rather than keep on suffering and maybe harming herself more, in this case, no, she's obliged to break her fast. Shama says, I know nisab of gold is 85 grams. For example, I own 22 karat gold of 100 grams. Should I give zakat for 2.5% of the value of the 200 grams, or should I pay zakat for 15 grams? Okay, let us see the calculator. So we have 100 grams times 22 carats divided by 24 carats, and this gives us 91 grams of 24 karat gold. So your 100 grams of 22 karat gold actually contains 91 grams of 24 karat gold, which means that it is 6 grams over the threshold, the nisab, which means that the 22 karat gold, you have to give 2.5% of it, which is 2.5% of 22 karat of gold. If you go and check the value of the 100 grams that you possess, and the jeweler's shop told you that it costs X amount of money, you multiply that by 2.5%, and this is your zakat. Or another easier way to calculate your zakat is to divide whatever you have by 40, and the result is the zakat. So if I have $40,000 for a whole year and I'd like to give zakat out, I divide it by 40 and the result is $1,000. This is my zakat. Or I multiply it by 2.5% and the result will be again $1,000. Her second question is zakat calculated on income or savings for one particular year? No, the zakat is calculated on the savings. So if I'm paid $10,000 a month, it has nothing to do with zakat. Some people tend to spend the whole amount within 30 days. I have a big family. I have a lot of children. I have my parents. I have my nephews and nieces who are orphans and I have to pay for them. By the end of the month, the $10,000 are all gone. Do I have to pay zakat? No, because after 1 year I have zero in my saving account. Unlike someone who is being paid $1,000 a month and he lives with his family, with his mother, and he eats and drinks for free. The car was bought to him by his father. So he actually saves $900 a month. After 1 year, this man would be having like $1,100 or close to that amount. He would be saving $11,000, give or take. So does he have to pay zakat? The answer is yes. He doesn't have the right to say, yeah, this is unfair. I'm being paid $1,000 and I have to give zakat, and this man is being paid $10,000 and he doesn't have to zakat. No, this deals with the savings, reaching the threshold and 1 lunar year passing over that, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Yasmin Khan says, my parents wish to distribute wirtha among their own son and two daughters. I think I've answered this before. Anyhow, they want to sell the properties and give the money in cash. They want to sell the property, but my brother is against that. He wants land, flat, or a farm. Please guide. I don't know what to guide. The parents have all the right to sell their properties and give it donation. Forgetting about the girls and their son. No one can complain. If the father sells his farm, his flat, his building, and his land, and takes the $1 million and gives it as a gift to his wife, his children can't complain, can't even object. It's none of your business. It's my hard-earned money. So I don't know how this son has the audacity to object to his father. If it were halal, I would have told the father, go and just give the money to the girls. Forget the boy. He's not dutiful. He's not respectful. But this is haram, unfortunately. If the father says, okay, this is $1 million, I'm going to build a real estate building and make it waqf endowment to give for the poor and to the needy, to da'wah organizations, to tahfidh al-Quran, to Huda TV, etc. No problem. So I suggest that the son goes back to his father, kiss his forehead and hand and apologize, and whatever he gives him, he should be grateful for that. And by the way, the daughters and the son, in the life of their parents, they should be given equal amount. The son does not get twice the daughter. This is only after the death of the father or the parent in inheritance. But in normal life, no. A gift is a gift. Azra says, if one has loans to be paid in his liable, is he liable to pay zakat? I think we've answered this in the beginning, so please refer back to the class at the beginning. Madhu says, or Mudu says, Salam, I want to ask whether a Muslim can work in central bank which is government owned. The answer is no. The central bank in every country is the regulator of riba, is the one who decides the interest rate, is the one who obliges all the banks to put their deposits with him, and either physically or not physically, but he still gives the banks a percentage of on their deposits. He regulates riba. He does everything that has to deal with riba. So definitely working there, even as a janitor, is not permissible. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows the best. This is all the time we have. And until we meet you, inshallah, next, let's say Monday, Thursday, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.